Grace and peace. Welcome to another episode of the TBT Show. I'm Anthony Moten. My friend and brother, partner in crime, is the Right Reverend Elder Shawn P. Aguilar. We are back again after a little hiatus. To those that have been asking and patient, man, thank you so much for allowing us to get this break over the course of the last 6 to 8 weeks or so. I've been on the mend like a broke preacher, a broke old preacher, and Shawn has been traveling the world like a rich young preacher.
Oh no, I don't know about
yes, sir.
I don't know about
yes,
all
sir,
that.
Reverend. Yes, sir.
We just went to the gate called Beautiful out there.
Reverend, name all the countries you went to, Reverend. I just
went to one.
Just one?
Well, I mean, you can say two.
Okay.
United States. I was already there.
Hey, y'all see how it go?
Then the Dominican Republic, and then we came back. That's it.
Okay.
1, 2.
Okay.
One time for the one time. Came on back, buddy. But no, it was good, man. It's always good to enjoy a little time.
Needed.
Rest, relaxation, recuperation. So it was good.
Needed.
Yeah.
My grandfather, who I lean heavily on his words, who was not college educated, but used to say things that would make you just wow. He used to always say, sometimes you need to stop before you quit.
Man.
If you don't get a break every now and that's why we experience burnout.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah, we experience burnout because we don't take that necessary time. So good you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, it was good. We had some friends join us, and we've been to Punta Cana before. We just went to a different resort, a little bit different part of the island, just kind of experience God's creation.
Yeah.
Out that way.
What?
And come on back, big dog.
Yeah. Well, I went to a country called HCA.
A landing country,
right?
HCA. No, yeah. I hear you, man.
Nah, it's good though. I'm feeling better, so that's.
Well, if you hadn't said nothing, Reverend, I don't think anybody would even know. They wouldn't even know.
Yeah, man. There's so much. First of all, thank you for being a part of this journey for us. And I want to encourage you again to like, share, subscribe, so that we can increase this platform to kind of talk about some things, so that we can allow truth to be told.
Yes.
Again, thank you for being a part of the TBT family. Eventually, we're gonna get some shirts and cups and hats out.
Oh yeah. Some merch.
Yeah. To those who are following us. So it's good to be back with you guys after our little break. There's so much information that we missed. Missed being able to discuss. Some of that
we might have to backtrack on.
Yeah, we might have to do some,
because some of it, we'll have to come back in future episodes and address. Some of the things that happened during the hiatus.
Yeah. We'll have to. Some things are worth readdressing. Or addressing. Period. But this week there's been some one particular TikTok video that has gone. Blown up and gone viral.
Yeah.
On this video, there's a young man who what did somebody call him?
I heard him referred to as Nice Cube. Yeah, that was pretty good.
There's a young man who has been apparently stood up for an initial date. He's in this restaurant. He does this video and he's crying about being stood up and what do women want. He's only looking for his person. He said, now again, he's lamenting, he's crying. A matter of fact, we're going to plug in his video.
We'll plug it in.
So so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about. Matter of fact, let's do it now.
Right.
So I just left the restaurant after waiting 30 minutes for a date to show up, and apparently I got stood up. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm trying to do everything right to be a gentleman. I brought flowers. I've been consistent talking with this girl for 2 weeks, trying to get to know what she likes, what she doesn't like. I made plans. I picked the restaurant, the day, and the time. You know, I've done everything to be just the kind of guy that would value somebody's time. Like, I'm just looking for my person. I'm just looking for the one that, I guess, is out there for me. I mean, I want to be somebody's husband someday, father. I'm trying to do everything that's right, and I just get stood up. Like, my feelings didn't even matter. Sitting there eating a meal by myself and realizing that nobody even cares about people anymore. Like, LA dating shouldn't even be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to find somebody. It shouldn't be this difficult to fall in love, to be kind to one another. Like, what, ladies, tell me, what did I do wrong?
Okay, so you see exactly what we mean.
Right.
So he's crying, lamenting, only saying he's looking for his one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then initially, I was reading some people's comments about this is why men don't do this and the third, and this is why, because of this response of women, whatever. And I can see that. I can. And I'm not being, I can see that. But I'm also very, very critical of this young man. We've become so weak.
Yeah, man.
Like, bro.
Jesse Lee Peterson would describe this man as a beta. Now that's a little harsh. But I'm just telling you what Jesse Lee Peterson was saying. Now, obviously, he's an over the top, kind of, content creator. But I do see, I think that young men, and he's got some gray in his beard, but he's still, seems like a young man. Right. Number one, you got to take a licking and keep on ticking, buddy.
Man.
I mean, you're in the environment. There had to be plenty of women around you. You already set up, bro. You got flowers in your hand, all this different stuff. And instead of sitting, sulking, and souring on the situation, do something to make it better. Be like Shamgar. Use what you got.
Start where you are. Use what you...
Right.
So here's my frustration with it. One, there could be a very legitimate, justifiable reason as to why she didn't show, right?
Right.
She could have had a car accident. She could have had a flat. And nobody's going to think in that moment, let me call this guy.
I barely know. Talked to for 2 weeks on
it could have been
some dating app. Well, and he did it, obviously he's still there. So
and that's what I'm saying. You're still in the moment.
You're still in the moment. So it's like, hey, you haven't allowed time to pass to process the why behind the what. Mm-hmm. So, and he's not going to come back and be like, hey guys, so it turns out, she had an accident, or it turns out there was a family emergency. He ain't going to come back with that part. Does that make sense? But so I feel like, number one, you got to have a masculine frame, and you've got to be able to roll with the punches, take a lick and keep on taking. Number two, you got to allow time to process things as well.
Right.
And I applaud that he said, hey, he's trying to approach things as a gentleman, that he's trying to, because he kind of had, that was one of the hashtags, but I'm like, hey man, a gentleman doesn't equal a doormat. Also at the same time, that's not attractive.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Here's where I think you and some others will think that I'm pressing a little bit too far going to. You can already kind of tell from his demeanor that he's over the top. He's a drama king, right? So
a doer of the most. Yeah. No. I get that.
I talked to her for 2 weeks. It's like, bro, 2 whole weeks.
That's
what? No time. Then he's in there with flowers. Now, before y'all kill me, for a man to give a woman flowers
that's a thing.
That's a thing.
That's a thing.
And it's a good thing.
It is.
Not on an initial date.
On the first date? Absolutely not.
On the first, and it's like, bro.
But that tells me a little bit about who you are. That
tells me you're an over-the-top guy.
Yeah.
And that's probably why she didn't show.
I was going to get to that. But you beat me to the punch. But yeah, I think that, just again, we're all operating on the information that we have available. And all we have available is this one video of him in the moment with no context from the other party.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at kind of how he carries himself, I totally agree with what you're saying as far as the over the topness. And he's a for lack of a better term, it's a softer guy. This is not he's not a rugged individual. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he doesn't seem like he's not an alpha, personality.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
And so you got some borderline feminine tendencies. You know what I'm saying?
Borderline?
I'm trying to be nice.
Okay.
I'm trying to be nice. I already hit him with the Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm trying to bring it back.
It on in.
Bring it back. But I mean, I think that it resonated because a lot of people right now are lonely. Because we're super connected, but we're the loneliest we've ever been. Because there's no relationship there. There's a difference between connection and relationship.
Right.
Right.
I get it, and I just sent a friend of mine a message that some author said, and I can't remember who. I'm getting sometimers. So some author said the great relationships halvens your burdens, and it doubles your joys. Right? Because it's not just you with your burden. You have someone to help you bear them. And then it double. So I get it. And we are relational creatures.
Correct.
We're meant to be connected and live in community.
Correct.
So, I get all that.
It's an innate need. It is. Yeah. So
I'm not saying, here's what I am saying though. One, he said he was looking for his person, right?
Right.
So by her not showing, it means either one or two things. Either she's not your person, which that means you missed the bullet. Like, you're good.
Exactly.
Or she is your person. Y'all just have some challenges.
Right.
That either way, you can leave the same way you came, which is not a negative.
And that phrase also tells me a little bit about your philosophy.
It does.
When you say you're looking for your person,
first of all, first date?
First of all, well, number one, that's eagerness. But also, he didn't say, I'm looking for my wife.
So he said, I'm looking here.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he said, I'm looking for my person. That tells me you subscribe to a particular worldview. You subscribe. You might be open more than the traditional man.
You think? Because he said,
100%.
One day I want to be someone's husband, someone's father.
Right.
So,
No, I get that, but that's a biological imperative. That you see what I'm saying? In the sense that he maintains the reality of his biology. Does that make sense? But the way he phrased it, that tells me that you have been influenced by a particular worldview. I would never say that. Me personally. And most people that I know
wouldn't say that.
That are men that come from a biblical worldview would not say, find your person.
I didn't even notice that. I mean, I noticed it, but I didn't.
But what I'm saying is that phrase comes from a particular worldview. It comes from a particular philosophy of life. And that highlights the softening of men in this generation.
Look, at first, initially, I was poor guy, poor fellow.
No.
And then after I watched a couple times, like, you know what, man?
I felt for the guy. I was sympathetic, empathetic in the sense of, man, it sucks. It does suck. Right. That's a bad situation. Right. Nobody that has ever been in that situation wants to be in that situation again.
Right. Or wants anybody else.
Or wants anybody else in that situation. It's not good. It's not fun. Right. It's not a good time. Right. Does that make sense?
Right.
So my heart, I'm like, yeah. I'm sorry to see that for you, man. Like I really.
Right.
really hate to see that happen to you, you know.
Right.
But also at the same time, I look at, okay, well, now instead of complaining about it, what are you doing?
What's the plan?
To take accountability? Because you can't take control until you take accountability.
Okay, so, because he said, women, what did I do wrong? And I don't know. Did he say women, what did I do? He said,
he did. Ladies, yeah, he said,
ladies,
ladies, what did I do wrong?
So, and I think that kind of building what he did wrong could come from either gender. Because I said, I'm split, right? So, like, I feel sorry for him, right? Because nobody wants to. But at the same time, like, bro, grow a backbone and just take it. One, you're whining on social media. I detest. Social media does not deserve every angle of your life.
But he did I might get charged up for this, but he did he tried to address a manly situation in a womanly way. He went to the tribe. He went to, those that would console him, that were, going to basically bring him in and say, "Oh, baby, it's gonna be okay." Woo, woo.
Right.
And it's like, hey, I think every man at some point, no matter how tight you think your game is, you're gonna run up on one that's not feeling you.
Right.
It's gonna tell you no,
right,
or not show up, or this, that, thing, or, whatever.
Right.
But there was a great philosopher that says, "I don't chase him, I replace him." The songwriter said this. Now, it wasn't the biblical songwriter, but it's like, man, you got every opportunity, and you're in the environment. Make something happen. What you got, big dog? But again, it's
about having to eat by himself.
You made that choice,
you made that choice, Papa.
You could have walked in. You could have walked out. You could have approached another young lady,
right? And
invited them,
right? But see, okay, and here's my
there's probably a woman in that restaurant
who's
in that
eating
club
by herself
that was eating by herself.
But see, here's my advice to anybody who's single, right? You should spend time with yourself.
100%.
Because if you don't enjoy your company, nobody else is going to enjoy your company.
Right. And working on yourself
is not a bad thing.
You can't lose investing in yourself. And I think that he was putting all the marbles on his preparation, his choice of venue, all these different things, instead of
the flowers, 2 weeks of
who am I?
Right. So I'll do all the work on the front end to get her here.
Right.
But have I done the work on me to keep her here if she shows up?
Correct.
And that's what's wrong in this generation. So he went to social media looking for a pat on the back when what he really needed was a kick in the butt.
Yeah.
And
in the hind end.
And that's what I looked at.
And that's what I'm saying is that, especially as men, I feel like we need those tougher conversations of, hey, man, get off social media. Not saying that you can't cry. We're not doing all that, hyper masculinity type stuff. Hey, bro, you can cry. It sucks. I mean, it's not a good time. But what are you going to do about it? Right. So now I heard Bernie Mac say, the more you cry, the less you have to pee. And so, so now that you got the waterworks out the way, one way or the other,
right?
Okay. So now that's done. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
What are you going to do to position yourself better for the next your person or the next potential your person?
Right.
Which I would correct him and say, hey, bro, you need to be looking for a wife, not a person.
Yeah. Right. And I guess, and I'm not a relationship guru, but here's my advice to young men. But like, flowers is something that should be earned in a sense.
Yeah.
You don't just get certain things because
right off the rip.
Because I'm pursuing you. Like, even, he was, this is a super nice establishment. Why'd you pick that one for a first date?
Well, I already went over my philosophy, but for those of you that didn't maybe hear that particular episode when we had Chris Gordon on, you know, when you make it too special and you're doing too much for the other party, it actually diminishes your stance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you make it too special, especially straight out the gate, then what does that say about your value? It means it's not even.
Right.
So that means that you have to go over and above because you're coming from a position of lack. Whereas it's, hey, if my time's worth just as much as your time, then I don't need these ladder equalizers for me. I got to stand on the ladder of flowers and a certain amount of money at a restaurant and this and that and third. Now, I'm not saying to not treat a young lady with respect. That's a given.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right. But in the sense of, why is this your first date? You're going out to, you know, what seemed to be a nice establishment,
5-star type.
You know, all that different stuff. You got flowers in hand, all this different stuff, and y'all have never met in the real world.
Look, so if tonight is not successful, or if we figure out at the end of the day we're not meant for each other, I've wasted 2 weeks of my time and $500 of my money.
Exactly.
Like, when you could have found this out.
You could have found that out at Starbucks, bro. You know, and so guys can't complain about women because they actually have a term for this. It's called foodie calls. So you used to have the booty call. You see what I'm saying? Now it's the foodie call. So it's like a woman that would take advantage of a man's willingness to provide a nice date. No intention to actually, but they can get a night out and a good meal. But but here's the deal. They can't take what you don't give.
And that's the point.
They can't take what you don't give. So you can't complain that, oh, well, these women are out here doing this. You gave it to them.
I've heard one of I did a premarital session with a couple once, and a young man told me that he didn't think she was going to be the one. Thought it was all about the money. Of course, she was out of the room at the time.
Oh, good.
Because one of the times that they went out a couple times, and he, don't worry about it, keep your money, whatever. They even went out to a club, whatever. So he shows up at one club that she's invited him to, and it's her and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not only gonna buy her drinks, but all her friends' drinks too. And he said, then he started thinking like, maybe this is
booty call.
But why would you put yourself in that type of situation?
You put yourself there.
If we go out and if you invite me out, I'm not saying that a man should expect a woman to pay, but if this is your idea, now if I'm driving the bus, I'm driving the bus.
Right.
But I'm not going to let, you drive the bus and dictate where we going.
And then pick up passengers along the way.
It's not, no. No, so again, it's like, those are the stories that you're getting. So you got guys that still, because we run to extremes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you got guys who are saying, I absolutely will not.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a woman saying,
I think it depends, man. I think there's a lot more nuance. Because, like, let's say, for instance, if some of the friends get involved, that depends on what point we're at in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
First, second, third date, that's a problem.
Yeah, if we're still trying to get to know each other.
We're still in the get to know you phase and all this different stuff, that's a problem. Red flag.
Well, even if you think that means we're not at that point yet.
Oh, correct.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we obviously aren't at that point if I'm thinking, what is this really about?
Right.
Like, so, but again, he would have, even if she'd have showed up, he had issues. Because the next date would have had to be more flamboyant than this one.
Then you're working from a deficit. And it only gets worse. Because, and I forget, man, I'm trying to remember who said this. But the more you have to pay financially, the less she values you.
Right.
And your time as a man.
Right.
Because a woman that desires a man just for who he is, she'd be happy just to spend the time together.
Picnic at a park.
But what'll happen is that she's gonna set the price for you,
right,
to have some of her time and company,
right.
And so you got to realize, again, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk, and know when to run.
Know when to run.
So when the price gets too high, you just got okay. I'm fold this hand.
Start over.
Deal me back in next week.
Right.
Deal me back in.
Right.
But this hand right here,
out of there.
Fold.
So we gonna move, but let me share with this brother if he happens to be listening or if somebody knows him.
Yeah.
Stop whining. Get off social media.
Yeah.
Don't take them flowers back. Stop buying flowers.
Yeah.
And find someone.
Meet a young lady at Starbucks, and if the demand on the first date is a $500 dinner and this, that, and the third, and da da da, that tells you
what it is.
Her interest level in you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Flat out.
How about an old King James word? Equally yoked.
Equally yoked.
If you're looking for somebody who's trying to get you to where you're trying to get to, let them, have the same passions and desires. And, I feel sorry for him, man, but you really need a kick on this one. If I was your father, your uncle, I'd come in that restaurant and get you.
Right.
You don't get your tail out and put that phone up.
Right, put that phone up.
Put that phone in your pocketbook.
Pocketbook. Who walking around with a pocketbook?
That's another video.
Yeah, that's a whole other video.
We'll get to it at a different time. Man, something, and I'm saying weird. It's not really weird because I was looking at, considering who's the governor of the state, I think this is a lot deeper than, but there have been some changes in Florida.
Some changes, yes, sir.
So Sean's gonna kind of run down what the new changes in Florida have been.
Oh yeah, Ron DeSantis, he's moved on from the mouse, messing with the mouse, to messing with marriages.
What's wrong with you?
So Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill to eliminate permanent alimony in the state of Florida. Okay. And so he has eliminated permanent alimony. And so just to give you an idea, there's 4 different types of alimony. There's bridge the gap alimony, which is payments made to help the supported ex-spouse make the transition from, being married and provided for if they were not working,
right,
to being single and independent. Okay. So that's kind of like temporary assistance within 2 years.
Right.
Rehabilitative alimony is kind of like a longer term plan. Maybe if that person had some credentials and set it aside and they need to get some additional education in order to get basically to rehab their career to get back in the flow of things.
Right.
So a little longer. Then there's durational alimony that will, for a specified period.
Right.
Okay. For
6
the duration
months,
of, usually longer than 2 years.
Okay.
So like 5 years or whatever, depending upon the length of the marriage.
Okay.
But then there's permanent alimony. And permanent is the duration of the ex-spouse's life.
Right.
Forever and ever.
Right.
Okay. And so that's what's being banned. So bridge the gap alimony, still in play. Rehabilitative alimony, still in play. Durational, still in play. But what they're doing is they're overhauling this permanent alimony situation. So they have added the burden of proof for the person seeking the support to prove that they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets up a process for ex-spouses who make alimony payments to seek modifications when they retire or conditions change. Because let's say, for instance, you get divorced and you're making, $100,000, okay? $100,000 a year, and then you retire, and now you're making $60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, under the existing law, you would still be responsible at the time that the judgment was made. So now you're making less, but they still want that same payment to go out on alimony.
Right.
And so, personally, I think that, this is reasonable because you got, women that are, here's who's fighting against this. There's a lobby group called the First Wives Club.
Okay.
That are staunchly against this. And you got women that have been divorced for
ever
10, 15 years, and their sole means of income
is alimony.
So that means that the guy that got married in this situation is having to take care of the household he had with the first wife.
And the household he currently has.
And the household that he establishes next with the next wife, regardless of if the divorced woman gets married.
See, here's why I think it's so big in Florida. Because there's some people in Florida that ball. Right.
Right. And you got a lot of guys that are older that maybe came from New York and they moved down to Florida and they're looking at, hey, man, if I move to Florida and then, okay, for whatever reason, this ain't working out. And let's say you're married 10 years, you get married and then it's like, man, under a lot of states, sorry, buddy, you're on the hook.
Right.
Or and ever.
And it's, because it's usually the same type of deal in certain areas of Florida, right? An older guy who made wealth in whatever, who marries a younger woman, they stay married some years, and then she finds, the gardener.
Mm-hmm.
He finds out, and, it's Splitsville.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to pay.
To not play. Pay for no play.
And it's major in Florida because that's a great percentage. If the story happens 100 times out of the, across the country, 50 of them are in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for him to do it,
yeah,
in a state that probably houses the greatest percentage of those type of situations.
Well, this is a play to his base.
And that's what I'm saying.
This is, hey, let me help, wealthy, affluent, landowning, business owning, Republican, men, things of that nature. And so now this is separate from child support. Don't get child support and alimony confused.
Right.
So child support is completely separate.
Right.
This is alimony is spousal support.
Right.
And so here's kind of the deal with women in the Republican Party are in a tough spot because if you're a female and you're a Republican, that means you uphold the value of personal responsibility. That doesn't really drive with you collecting alimony for years and years and years. And so this will also cap rehabilitative alimony at 5 years.
Right.
So the maximum is going to be, hey, you need to find a way to get a job, get a skill, read a book, do a report, get a buck, get out there and be a champion, and earn some income. Because they had a show that kind of reviews like people's financial situation, and it's usually people that have made a major mess.
Right.
They've overspent quite a bit and they just can't keep a budget. There's this one that had a lady, she was making $25,000 a month in alimony. And she went and started a business that was like some kind of like pastry, cupcake business, whatever.
Right.
It immediately failed, and she's like $1.8 million in debt. But the only reason she could do that is because, she qualified based on her income that, hey, you make 25 grand a month, but she doesn't make, she gets 25 grand a month. Is her sole means of income with alimony. Yeah. And basically, obviously she has to take care of the household and things like that. But a lot of it through the show, she just blows on, designer handbags and, all this different stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I want to say she was in Florida. And so
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be right. Exactly. But again, the situation, it was a First Wives Club type of situation. And it's funny that people talk about anchor babies when it comes to immigration, but they don't talk about, anchor babies and anchor, divorces when it comes to, okay, you know, whenever I'm not happy with any piece of the situation, I'll force a divorce, and I know that, hey, I got a paycheck coming from this guy if he's, you know, wealthy enough.
Right.
I think that's going to alter some strategies.
The only category of alimony that I can halfway kind of sort of see is bridge the gap.
Yeah, bridge the gap.
Like all the rest of them are like, that's a law in Florida. Like that, I mean, because again, like spousal support should only be to assist until you can.
Right. But the way it is right now with this permanent alimony stuff is not, there's zero incentive.
Right. To ever do anything.
Right. It's just, hey, you know.
Right.
Slot machine's still paying out.
Right.
Stand there with the bucket. You know?
And that's why a lot of, you know, these younger model types in Florida marry the older Hugh Hefner type.
Yeah, because they know, hey, man, this is the way to get the bag. Hey, I'll put up with the wrinkles for a little while. And I'm
going to stick in there. Yeah. I'm in my marker. I did my years.
Right. Once you hit the...
Yeah, like in prison.
Right.
Yeah. I did my time. Yeah.
So run me my check.
For the
Give me
rest of my life.
Right. Yeah. And so, but here's the deal. And, you know, you can say that Ron DeSantis did this and all this different stuff. Yes, he's going to be his signature. But the person that's really responsible for this, or the people that's really responsible for this, is women, specifically feminists. Because what has happened is that you've created the idea of equality so much that now you're getting what you asked for.
See, I didn't even consider it that deep.
Oh, 100%.
You think?
I know. Because look at the motivation for it, okay? Obviously, he's going to help the people that are most likely his donors. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, look at the social change that's happened over the years. Everything is, okay, well, hey, I don't need a man. Or, you know, this, that, the third, or I can do anything. But it's always, I can do anything that a man can do in the corporate office, not in the sanitation department. I've never seen a march for equal rights to be on the edge of a dump truck, or a bricklayer, or a fisherman, or, hey, we need to have 50% of all electricians and plumbers to be women. It's always, we need 50% representation in the C-suite.
This is Shawn saying this. Email him.
Email him. But email me, please. But what I'm saying is this, and not every woman subscribes to this. I know that. And that's great, you know. But for those women that, you know, for the Ebony K. Williams of the world, which we talked about, you know, before we went on hiatus, congratulations.
You did this.
You got what you asked for. So now, if you say that you can do everything, that means you don't need spousal support. Because I mean, you can build a business just like he did. You can go to work just like he did.
Here's my question, and maybe
unpopular opinion, but I'm just telling you.
Can a man get alimony in Florida?
I don't know about in Florida, but I know that you can, because old girl was whining about it. I just saw that not too long ago. Who was it?
Would a man be considered weak for getting the alimony?
He definitely wouldn't be considered strong.
But a woman can do it?
Who was it? There was a celebrity. Oh, Mary J. Blige. That's who it was. Mary J. Blige, ooh, buddy, when the shoe's on the other foot, ooh, she was whining about having to make the alimony payments to the ex-husband. Let me see if I can pull it up. Mary J. Blige ordered to pay spousal support, nothing close to what the hubby wanted. So he didn't get what he wanted, but she's ordered to pay 100 and, let's see. I'm sorry. He asked for basically $130,000 a month. He's getting $30,000. He's getting $30,000 a month.
But that's
in spousal support, which is still strong.
Very.
And she is upset about it, big dog. She is upset that she's having to pay it. But hey, I'm sure you've heard this phrase, the lifestyle according to which he was accustomed.
Right. That's $30,000 a month is more than $250,000 a year. $360,000 a year.
Not a bad. It's not. And most people got to work for it. It's just there on the first.
All you got to do is go. I would say go to the mailbox, but you ain't got to do that no more.
No, deposit receipt. Life is good. You see
Back to Netflix.
So this dude is getting $30,000, and she's done interviews, and she is voiced her, displeasure that why should she have to pay this much in spousal support?
Wasn't he like her manager or something too, or no?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so when the shoe's on the other foot, now it's like, wait a minute, what? Well, this ain't fair.
Ain't no fun.
Well, it never was.
When the rabbit got the gun.
Yeah, right. There you go. And here's the deal. I think that there is a place to have alimony structures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be, but I think it needs to be measured in the cases where someone has set aside their career to raise children.
Right.
Or decided not to pursue a career at all in order to raise children. And it's okay, yeah. I mean, if the marriage is over, hey, we made a deal.
Right.
And now, I've, sacrificed my time and, opportunity, body, the stress, all other pursuits, all these different things. So I'm not saying that women don't deserve to get child support or spousal support, but I think this is a common sense move.
I think so too.
In the sense of, hey, it shouldn't be for life.
Now, I think this is a common sense move. People with common sense. But Florida it's not a common sense state.
Well, and also, I think this is a move because DeSantis has thought he was going to get major points for going up against Disney. And he's not.
Turn out right.
Because what he did, this was his miscalculation. He miscalculated that number one, it's Disney. Duh.
You're right. Right.
In the words of Arsenio Hall, use a dummy.
Yeah.
And so, but that was one thing. And then also, even though they may hold certain values that you don't agree with, the rich donors that support you own stock in Disney.
Right.
And they expect Disney to generate returns, dividends, appreciation of stock. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, buddy, they're a really important part of the economy.
Right.
And I don't think he made all those calculations. He just went straight for the culture war thing.
And
you see what I'm saying?
And I think
and his polls are down bad. He's behind Trump like 30-something%. He's way back, bro. Way back.
Yeah.
And it was his game to lose.
Yeah. And he lost.
It was his game to lose.
And he lost. And that, that's my question. Like most times, is this a hill you really want to? Even like he said something derogatory about Target.
Oh yeah,
but it's like, bro, it's Target. Target's gonna keep for customer, openness. They're gonna keep all of their business. I mean, and they should. I mean, you're in business.
Yeah. Hey, it's a product that's available. There's a market that wants to buy it. I don't fault Target for having merchandise that appeals to any community.
Right.
I'm not in the camp that's like Target should never do this. I think that they should have had more thoughtful consideration of how they were going to market to that.
Right.
How they were going to enter that market and how they were going to go to market for that. I think there was a way that they could, capture, the dollar in that community with a product that they would value without upsetting the general public. If I know that's not the best way to say it.
Conservative
right. Yeah, they're the majority of their customers, right?
Right.
And so And that's the deal. And Target's a business. It's Target.com. It's not Target.org. It's not a charity.
Right.
It's not a charity.
Right.
You know, they are here to engage in commerce.
Right.
You know, so I don't fault them for. I mean, I would imagine that any retailer is going to want to provide products and services that appeal to as many portions of the economy as possible.
And that's Disney.
You know,
I mean, and they did push the envelope in some areas, but I mean, when you chasing a bag, you gotta. I mean,
and like from a purely business standpoint, I don't fault these companies. They're doing what they feel is like, hey, look, this is a specific demographic that spends money based on when they see something that celebrates them.
Hey,
and it's no different. It's no different than selling sports merchandise of a certain team more heavily in the area where they play.
Right.
You don't see a lot of Packers jerseys, on sale in San Francisco.
Right.
Does that make sense? You don't see. I'm just saying. You know where they sell Packers jerseys? In Green Bay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You're not. And that's kind of the deal. And sometimes they just have nothing to do with each other. It's not even like a strong super rivalry, like say, for instance, like Green Bay and the Vikings, right? But you have people that are in the same area that live in maybe the Dakotas.
Right.
They don't really live at either one, but they're in a similar area of the country. So you're going to have both available to them.
Right.
But the farther away you get in terms of relevance, you're gonna have to order that online, big dog. You're not just gonna walk in and and find that, right? But I think those are the things. To me, it's no different. They're all teams,
right?
Every demographic is their own team, and this was the jersey. They're just selling the jersey of that community, that community's jersey. Right. That's it. That's all it is. And so I think sometimes we get a little too riled up on, certain things.
I think he thought that people would, support him the way there was this great support for.
Buddy, you're not gonna,
Trump.
you're not gonna,
and
you're not gonna beat the mouse, buddy.
And that's it.
You're not gonna beat the mouse.
Yeah.
And so the mouse is gonna do what the mouse is gonna do. Now you have a problem with the mouse? Okay, well then don't leave cheese out. But I mean, but what I'm saying is that you are not going to get very far picketing in front of Disney World or Disneyland or doing all this different stuff. Right. Now you want to promote your values, promote your values
without trying to destroy someone else's, especially someone else that even in conservative homes.
Oh yeah.
Their children.
It's America's babysitter.
Loves Disney just like everybody else's children loves Disney. So just even to go at that, I was just like.
And the thing is, there's so many Disney things that don't have the Disney name on it that they own.
Right.
I mean, come on, bro. Right. They own all the Marvel stuff, all the Star Wars stuff, National Geographic. Buddy.
Yeah.
ABC,
right?
ESPN,
right?
I mean, come on, man.
There's no going around the mouse.
Come on, man.
There's no going around Disney.
It is what it is. And so if you want to challenge them on certain things, okay, that's fine. You have the conversation. But what he tried to do was like sabotage them economically, take away some of the things that they've been granted in the past. But I mean, that was kind of a really non-Republican thing to do. I mean, usually they're looking out for the business owner that creates jobs.
Right.
And
but see, again, Donald Trump made it big by doing non-Republican things.
I don't think he ever went that route, though. I don't think he ever disincentivized business owners.
Not that far.
That's what I'm saying. That's what this guy was doing, basically.
I mean, he did do some non-Republican things that made him very popular.
Because he's not a Republican. And I'm glad you said it. He's a populist.
But see, I think DeSantis thought, I'm a score a touchdown too by running his plays.
Yeah, no.
And that didn't.
All he needs to do is go, and Disney probably owns this too. Go watch Waterboy. You can't steal the Green Book.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You got to write your own plays. Does that make sense? You should have learned already.
Right.
Hollywood tried to teach you.
Right. You're just slow.
Yeah, you know. But I mean, it was his, because they want to push DeSantis. They want to.
They won't be able to.
But it's going to be increasingly difficult. And I have noticed that it seems like Trump is kind of keeping a lower profile because they're trying to put him in jail.
Lower profile, but not gone.
Oh, no. No.
Not gone. And that's the scary part, because he's still...
We'll probably be discussing that pretty soon on future episodes, because they got some grand jury stuff going on with Donald J.
Few weeks. So we'll see how that shakes out. You got anything going on?
Not that'll probably make air.
Yeah.
But I do want to just encourage people as we're going into the back to school season, because I know that, at Good Shepherd, at my office, we're collecting backpacks. And so I would encourage people to, just be generous wherever in your community to, help, kids that are in need with school supplies and things of that nature. It's that time of year, and I would just encourage everybody to be mindful, and let's try to be, as generous as we can to those backpack drives,
right?
Blessing in a backpack, those type of functions. I know a lot of churches and organizations are calling for that, at this time of year. Right. And tax-free weekend is coming up.
Yep.
So that's a great time to do it.
Right.
As far as buying those things is going to be August 11th through the 13th. So that's
and
coming
since you
up.
mentioned it, I wasn't going to, but and I said I wasn't going to, maybe not to this extreme, but because we're doing one too, and I've recruited the help of some business owners and politicians and that kind of deal, whatever. We waste, and it's just, I don't know, family of three, we can go out to eat and spend $100 easy.
Mm-hmm.
While $100 in school supplies would mean
that's
world.
Multiple kids.
Yeah, that would mean the world to some families. And with the pressure of this economy and inflation and and then for certain families that have multiple kids, in certain age groups, now you got to buy school clothes and school supplies. I would just encourage us to, hey, don't go to Starbucks for a week.
Right.
Right. Instead of eating out, eat at home for a week. And then that money that you save doing that, be a blessing to these families that are struggling on every side.
Yeah.
And so you could imagine the kind of anxiety some of these families have when they are this time of year. It makes it very, very difficult, the anxiety this time of year. And so having, knowing that you have school clothes, school supplies, the whole nine, whatever. So I would just encourage us to, we close every week with the same thing. And I'll encourage us, pray for each other, look out for each other.
Yeah.
All we have is each other. And so this is a good time to do that, to look out for each other. So we'll be with you guys and some more things to come, maybe some format additions, some other things. So again, look out for each other, pray for each other. All we have is each other.
Yeah.
Until we see you guys again, grace and peace.